Now, you mentioned the book, so let's talk a little bit about the book. Tell us about it, and what is involved in it, and what were you trying to communicate.
Well, as you already suggested, I've gone away, and the book is a journey. Like the book is describing the journey we are in right now. I mean, we have come a long way. We still have a long way to go.
You're talking about your company.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. And the company and part of that, like the experiences, what I've collected. I mean, this is my third. Fourth startup I'm involved in, and what I'm finding that across those startups, there are a number of like principles, right? Principles that keep recurring, right? And I was told that some of those principles are worth talking about, and that's what I'm doing in this book. It's a tweet style book, so it's like condensed highly into 140 tweets. It's more like principles. See, a startup or creating a startup is an incredibly non-linear activity, right? I don't think there's a recipe. I mean, if there were a recipe, and I probably patented it. There's no recipe how to create a startup. It's fundamentally it's like ingredients, like the ingredients that go into it. You have to create your own recipe, right? And then cook the meal and serve it. But so what I'm doing in this book is I'm describing what some of those ingredients could be from my perspective, or are from my perspective, and my way of starting to share, give back and I'm hoping that people find that relevant for what they are doing.
So we're going to get a little more into the book, but it sounds like creativity is part of being involved with startups. Right. I mean, that's what you're saying. You're using the creative side of you, not just by rote, not just by steps, and it couldn't be just patented and given, but you have to be creative.
Oh, absolutely. I think creativity is at the core, right? I mean, you have this idea, right? So the idea is just like, the 1% that you get started with, and you get extremely passionate about that. But now you have to, grow this idea. You have to bring people in. You have to make something out of that, and that's where you have to be constantly and permanently creative. And what you'll find is that it's a long way. And as you go, you'll find things that work and that don't work. And so you have to be, as you go, extremely creative along this entire way. You have to constantly reinvent yourself.
Sounds great. Now, speaking of the book, you brought along a graphic, like 5 tips on that come from the book about lean startups. And I thought I would read the bullet points and you can just comment on them. Right. We'll show it to the audience at the same time. Okay, so keys to getting a lean startup going. The first thing you say is find your idea.
Yeah, and I think find the right idea. Right?
Okay.
Find the idea that you sufficiently believe into, that you are willing to spend the next couple of years of your life trying to bring to fruition. You'll have a ton of ideas. But finding the one idea you sufficiently believe into, that's what it is about.
And do you interact with other people? I mean, do you think the idea on your own and then go for it, or do you run it against your informal board of directors or your thought leaders that you know?
Well, I don't think that any idea is worth anything if you can't get people excited about that, right? So I personally think that you need to share it with as many people as you can and test it. If they get excited about it, nobody's going to steal and run away with your idea because so much more is required to make that into something. But you'll see if people get excited about it, right? And if you already have like 2 people excited about it, it's already 2 of you who can start building something around that.
I would imagine you'd have to be a little resilient too, right? Because sometimes people are going to say, I don't think it's a great idea, and you're going to have to think through what they say, and you want them to honestly tell you what they really think, right? So you have to be ready for a little bad news too.
Right. So, see, there's the why and the what, right? So the why you're doing it, that's what's driving you. That's the passion thing, what we talked about. And I think that's the core. That's something that you need to really absolutely believe into and defend and see, is that going to catch on, right? The what is, what do you do out of it, right? Is, the first idea is you think how this is going to make money is most probably not the way it's going to make money, right? So, it took us definitely over 12, 15 months to go through that path. We had a one way how we started. We figured that that's a great way, but it's not going to make sufficient money for us. So we found our business niche, and now we're finding a right way to make money, right? So it is really about be adaptive about the what, right? Mm-hmm. That's what the feedback will be, what people will give you. They will tell you, you know what, that's not going to work. Okay, find a new way. You know, okay, find 5 new ways. And then, so that's how you start figuring out the what, and that you do by really incorporating all of the feedback that you're getting.
Okay. Your second point is find your team.
Right.
You got the idea, now find the team.
Right. Without a team, you don't have anything, right? Ultimately, you just have 2 hands and that you need to start shaping your thing. But what you really need is fundamentally you need to build a team of people around you who can help you, make that vision happen, right? And get them passionate about it. So yeah, finding the right people is absolutely key.
Okay, and you've already alluded to this, but be intensive about your idea.
Yeah, so as I said, it all boils down to being extremely passionate. Your first ideas will get ripped apart, right? Nobody will get it, right?
That's why I was saying I think you have to be a little resilient.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you have to believe in that core, be adaptive about the what, how you do it. But you have to be intense about it. If people see that you believe, even if that what's coming out of your mouth nobody gets in the beginning, mm-hmm. You start running up the wall, the mountain, and you keep running. At some point, people catch on and say, there might be something here.
Yeah. Okay. Be super adaptive.
Right.
I guess that's part of the creativity as well. But
yeah, it's about you get this feedback. You need to incorporate that feedback, shaping the way you go about your idea and how you want to implement it, how you want to execute that, right? So you have to adapt. You have to be willing to incorporate. Only then things can become bigger, right? At the end of the day, that what you finally create is the sum of the total of the feedback and your own ideas and the ideas of the people who are fighting alongside you. That's what you need to, that's what you need to incorporate.
Okay, and the last point was don't forget about expectations.
Yeah, I mean, you are permanently setting expectations. What it is, what you're going to deliver, what you're going to do. You're setting expectations with your partners and with your early customers and with the people who invest into you. So just never forget that you're setting those expectations, and you need to manage those expectations. You need to deliver on those expectations, and if you are shifting along the way, manage to shift alongside. Just don't forget that you're not there alone doing that. You have a whole bunch of people to take care of.
Okay. Let me ask you a different question here. What is the most rewarding thing about doing what you're doing, working with a lean startup, being agile, being adaptive, using your creative? What's the thing you wake up in the morning and say, gee, I'm glad I get to do this?
Yeah, you start this whole thing, this whole journey because you had that, one idea, right? And ultimately, it is always about you want to change something, right? So you want to improve something. Somebody is going to have less hassle, have more fun, or be more productive. And when that actually happens, you've gone all this way, and suddenly it happens, and people are finding value in what you're delivering. That's the most incredible satisfaction out of the whole thing. That's what basically keeps all of us going.
Wow. Okay.